Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. And you? How's your day?
I'm good, thank you. All right, what's new?
So finished the diagnostic tests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they went pretty well actually. I can pull them up and let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Scores were. I think my lowest was actually chemistry and physics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll tell you now. Let's see. Boom, boom. So biochem was an 84, or the biochem.
Mm-hmm.
Chem phys was a 70.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is psych. Yeah, psych was a 78, I think is what I said. No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so not too bad. I guess I did pretty poorly on the hard ones.
So, were you able to review them yet?
Yeah, I sort of didn't go through specific questions. I wasn't sure how to approach them. More just I took into consideration what areas I needed to improve on. So
Yep.
I guess in the past day and a half, right, since I finished all of them, I've just been doing Anki specific to those sections and then a little bit of UWorld
Yeah.
um
Awesome.
supplement.
Okay. Yeah, that really works. All right, what would you like to go over today?
I was thinking maybe we could do some more cars. I don't know if you
Yeah.
think that's a smart strategy, but I haven't done it today, so
Mm-hmm.
uh,
You
feel
do
like a
yours.
good time to target. And I've been working on that method that we did, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe let me know if it's improved or I could improve.
Yep.
Awesome. I'll share my screen. Um, share. Um, Actually, you see it?
Yeah. This is have you done this one before?
No, I haven't done this one.
Okay. So, yeah, so we can do it. Let's see if we can scroll in such a way that we can fit the entire thing. Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, that way we don't have to screenshot and
Yep, yep.
yeah.
All right, so yeah, you can read out loud after each sentence. Tell me what they're saying in your own words, and look for arguments, look for who's saying the arguments, look for support if there is support.
Hmm.
So,
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead.
yeah.
Oh, let me scroll down. All right. Should doctors ever lie to benefit their patients, to speed recovery, or to conceal the approach of death? So it seems like it's a question as to whether or not doctors should lie um, to either benefit their patient or hide the fact that they're going to die, right? Like hide bad news and maybe support good news.
Mhm.
Um, In medicine, as in law, government, and other lines of work, the requirements of honesty often seem dwarfed by greater needs. So I think here they're saying that in medicine, along with many other sort of high level lines of work, um, honesty uh, isn't of the most important thing, right? I guess it's overshadowed by more important needs.
Mhm.
The need to shelter from brutal news or to uphold a promise of secrecy, to expose corruption, or to promote the public interest. So yeah, I guess what he's doing here is supporting this claim by providing maybe scenarios where it would be dwarfed by greater needs, right?
Mhm.
So protecting from bad news or promising to hold something secret, um, or to bring to light, yeah, corruption and
Mhm.
public. Um, so I think let me scroll down. I think maybe would you like me to summarize that paragraph? So I think what I would say, just to keep it short, would be um, doctors, uh, ethical concerns of doctors lying to patients. Um, Fine line, maybe would be.
Mhm.
Um, and then my question to you was, I was thinking about it this yesterday.
Mhm.
What I know we highlighted a bunch of things, but so we should be highlighting arguments and then also I guess like important works and stuff, or patterns that show up.
Yeah, so you'll highlight in so what I was doing was highlighting arguments in green, and if there's support, like
Hmm.
form of like in the form of like some reference or something, uh,
Yeah.
I would highlight that in orange. Um, so for this paragraph so far, we can say, tell me what you wanted to say about this again.
I would just say ethical concerns of lying of doctors lying to patients, and then like comma fine line question mark.
Hmm.
I think I mean, that's sort of what I'm not sure if there's an argument yet, just a question, and then perhaps there'll be an argument to follow.
So we have the question of should doctors ever lie to their
Mhm.
patients? And then it seems like they're saying that in medicine, as well as these other lines of work, that honesty is dwarfed by greater needs, right? Like, so
Yeah,
honesty is not as important as some of these other things, like the need to shelter from brutal news. Um,
yeah,
so so what I would write would be like that doctors need or may need to lie for greater reasons, like
okay,
um, shelter from brutal news or something like that. So I wrote docs may need to lie. I said two, but that's a typo. It should say four
that's
for
yeah,
greater reasons. For example, sheltering from brutal news. And if we were to highlight, maybe I'll say like, okay, doctors lie, dwarfed, I don't know, greater needs,
yeah,
shelter, brutal news, something like that.
okay,
So,
okay,
so yeah, the idea. So, yeah, I would say less so summary, more so argument. Um,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, and while you're so my question now is when you're actually doing, say, the test or a practice, are you highlighting as you read, or do you take maybe 10 seconds after you've read a paragraph to go and do what we just did, highlight the arguments, or maybe like the theme?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess I as I read, I would um highlight things.
Hmm.
But sometimes, sometimes that's hard to do like as you read. So this time I did it like after like we read and after we kind of figured out what the argument was in this paragraph. Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess like yeah, if you can do it as you read, then that's good, but that may not always be the case.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, I would say the most important thing is just to be able to put it in your own words. So like putting it in my own words, I would say like, okay, like they're kind of saying that, or like they're opening up with that rhetorical question about should doctors lie, and then it kind of talks about some reasons that doctors should lie.
Hmm.
We don't yet, we're not really saying yet that that I guess we're answering that question yet. We're just kind of talking about if that is the case, then these could be reasons for lying. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Alrighty. We
Mm-hmm.
can. What should doctors say, for example, to a 46-year-old man coming in for a routine physical checkup just before going on vacation with his family, who, though he feels in perfect health, is found to have a form of cancer that will cause him to die within 6 months.
Okay. Tell me what's happening here.
So they're just presenting a scenario uh, where lying would essentially benefit
Mm-hmm.
harm, perhaps, right? It's just like making us question uh, what the effect of lying would be in this specific scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can use this. as an example,
Mhm.
typically an example will be something like, because I mentioned like, like having empirical support and stuff, but you
Yeah.
may not always get that. You may just get some type of example that you can visualize. If you could visualize it, then it's an example, yeah. So
Yeah.
I would just put this in like an orange highlight just to say that where, and if we were to write it in our kind of summary on the right, I would put like an arrow to the above and to say like example 46-year-old man or something.
Oh, okay. Nice. And then you just look at that and you remember what you read about him.
Yeah, like this would be an example of, you know, where lying is, it could be better or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Is it best to tell him the truth? If he asks, should doctors deny that he is ill or minimize the gravity of the prognosis? So I guess they're just further supporting their question or the argument about lying, uh, saying, does it benefit him to tell him the truth or does it benefit him to lie to him?
Yep.
Should they at least conceal the truth until after the family vacation? Uh, I guess here they're just extending perhaps the discussion before. Um, but considering the example, they're just providing
Mhm.
more. Um, Doctors confront such choices often urgently. So I guess this would be just a form of evidence. Would it be an evidence just supporting that it's a common occurrence in the field of medicine?
Uh, yeah, I wouldn't say it's evidence per se, but I would say that uh this is just furthering that argument of this type of choice, which is
Yeah,
the choice of, whether to lie or not. They're giving like some other kind of examples that are like in between lying, like
yeah,
should should they like deny he's ill is lying, but if they say like conceal it until after the vacation, that's not
yeah,
exactly lying, but it's kind of like lying. So we're talking about lying in a couple of different ways, yeah.
yeah. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay. At times, they see important reasons to lie for the patient's own sake. In their eyes, such lies differ sharply from self-serving ones. Okay. Yeah, so that's what you're saying, no, that there's sort of like different levels of lying.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep. So yeah, here we have a new argument here because we're not just talking about whether a doctor should lie or not, we're talking about reasons for lying.
yeah,
And so maybe I would say like reasons to lie, patient's own sake, and that differs from self-serving ones. So we may not know right away what they mean by self-serving ones, or we might, I guess. What do you think that would be, self-serving ones?
just lies that benefit one's own good, right? You're just
Yeah.
lying to
Mhm.
help yourself.
Yep. So good. So for this paragraph, I would write like an arrow to the above and then i.e. 46-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't write anything else just because like in my head I'm thinking of that example, like
Okay.
with just thinking of 46-year-old man. And then I would just say like, okay, um, let's see, lies that help patients differ from self-serving lies.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say for that.
Okay, great. Yeah, that pretty much summarizes it.
Yep.
Um, all right, I'll go on to the next one. Studies show that most doctors sincerely believe that the seriously ill do not want to know the truth about their condition, and that informing them risks destroying their hope, so that they may never recover, so that they may recover more slowly or deteriorate faster, perhaps even commit suicide.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I guess this is would this classify as a form of evidence, right? Or I guess support for why doctors could consider lying.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a,
What
oh,
what what do you think?
to prevent them from worsening their condition, right?
Oh, I mean, why do you think it's like evidence?
Oh, because studies are referenced, right?
Exactly. Good. Yeah. So we're talking about studies, so we're talking about some type of evidence. And you know, I guess what the studies are saying that doctors or most doctors believe that if you're seriously ill, you do not want to know the truth.
Yeah.
Um, and so they may recover more slowly, perhaps,
Hmm.
or deteriorate faster. So yeah, this is just supporting that, like the different layers, I guess. Good. Okay.
Okay. As one physician wrote, ours is a profession which traditionally has been guided by a precept that transcends the virtue of uttering the truth for truth's sake, and that is, as far as possible, do no harm. Okay. I guess maybe this is more evidence providing a quote, um,
Mhm.
supporting maybe the complexity of um, the truth in medicine, right?
Yeah. So now we have like they mentioned studies, and now we have a quote, and we can call this quote RTA, which is reference to authority.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
yeah. And yeah, just kind of supporting what was said kind of before, just how doctors they have they have some type of level of ethics where the do no harm is far more important than truth for truth's sake.
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So you said this is RTA then, right? That's
Yeah. Like, you
the
know,
second.
we we don't know who's saying this exactly, but it's using a quote from a doctor that they're kind of using as some type of evidence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, Armed with such a precept, a number of doctors may slip into deceptive practices that they assume will do no harm and may well help their patients. Um, so I guess here they're the author saying that with this idea, um, doctors will actually end up lying to prevent harming their patients, right?
So let's see, right? So armed with such a precept, the precept being what would that precept be?
The truth for truth's sake,
Or trans
or
that, right?
sending for truth for truth's sake. Yeah.
So that type of precept may cause doctors to lie, because they assume that they're doing no harm, right? And that they're trying to help their patients. But it kind of seems like they're setting it up to be some kind of this is like a mistake. Like this is not
Yeah.
something necessarily good. So I would now consider this to be like um a new idea.
Mhm.
Because prior to that, we were just talking about, okay, sometimes doctors need to lie because there's more important things at stake. But now we're saying that this type of precept might lead to like some type of deception where they assume that this may, that the do no harm thing will help their patient,
Yeah.
but it's kind of setting it up so it's like might not be the best thing.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So they may prescribe innumerable placebos, sound more encouraging than the facts warrant, and distort grave news, especially to the incurably ill and the dying. So I guess this sort of just provides possible scenarios for that which they may slip into deceptive practices or
Yeah.
lie.
Yep. So this could be like some more like examples, right? So good. So okay, so we have so we're starting off with some examples that support what's previously stated. So I'll put like an arrow to the above, and then we just say studies. Um, maybe I'll say like docs transcend
Mhm.
honesty or truth for do no harm. And then I'll say that like a little bit in green that this might be like a fallacy
Mhm.
to, placebos and other forms of deception.
Mhm.
Um, oh yeah, there's also like I'll just say like RT, I'll just throw an RTA there. So error to the above studies show that docs transcend truth for do no harm, and we have an RTA with a quote,
Yeah.
and that this might be a fallacy, that belief that they're transcending truth to do no harm. And this might manifest itself in placebos and distorting grave news and other types of deception.
Okay.
So far we still don't really have an idea of what the author thinks,
Yeah.
but you want to be thinking about like what the author thinks. So it seems like so far author might not be totally into it,
Yeah.
but we don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like he's slowly leading into
Mhm,
more negative view.
mhm.
Um, okay. Shall I continue? But the illusory nature of the benefits, but the illusory nature of the benefits such deception is meant to bestow is now coming to be documented.
Okay.
Um, so I guess he's now changing, almost flipping the argument,
Mhm,
saying that this deception is more of an illusion and
mhm.
uh, documented. So I guess he's going to talk about something that
Yeah.
support
So there's one word in this sentence that is really important.
benefits.
A different one.
Deception? No, deception. Oh, but
Yep. The contrast words, right?
yeah.
So we know for a fact that what's mentioned before is going to be different from what's mentioned here. And so what are we saying after this contrast word? We're saying that, this illusory nature of
Mhm.
this type of deception um is coming to be documented. So I guess they're gonna exactly what you said, they're probably gonna give some support or documentary support. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, you always want to be looking out for those contrast words.
Okay. But okay.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So he says studies show that an overwhelming majority of patients do want to be told the truth, even about grave illness.
Mhm.
So again, now it's evidence. Yeah.
Mhm.
Saying that patients want to be told the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started off saying that this type of deception is not really reflecting reality in terms of what is documented.
Yeah.
And we have what's documented, which is saying that the studies show that patients want to be told the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Hmm.
Uh, we're also learning that truthful information, humanely conveyed, helps patient cope with illness. Helps patients, sorry, cope with illness, helps them tolerate pain better, need less medication, and even recover faster after surgery. So I think now it's supporting even more the claim that it's an illusory nature because the reality is that being told the truth actually does benefit, right? So
Hmm.
um, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, great. So for this paragraph, what can we say?
We could say, I guess we can say author, uh, or like maybe disagrees with lying, um, supported with evidence about benefits of the truth, maybe, or um, how can I shorten that?
Mhm.
Um, we could say because it's not really a change in argument. It's just now he's presenting his argument, right, or her argument.
Yeah, so I would start off with like arrow to the above,
Hmm.
illusion,
Okay.
and CW contrast word, and then studies show that patients want to know the truth for better effects, like um helps them cope, helps them tolerate pain,
Yeah.
etc. So I just put arrow to the above is an illusion, contrast word, CW, and then studies show patients want the truth for better effects.
Yeah.
Maybe I should include like what those effects are, but I'm not right now. So
I just think that I guess like just like a memory note that it's benefiting them. So
mhm, yeah.
um nice.
Mhm,
Okay, so not only do lies not provide the help hoped for by advocates of benevolent deception, they invade the autonomy of patients and render them unable to make informed choices concerning their own health, including the choice of whether to be a patient in the first place. Okay. So I guess now they're just supporting the argument again, saying that lies do not help, then they actually invade the autonomy,
mhm,
making them unable to care maybe for or concern their own health. We could
mhm.
highlight. Yeah.
Yeah. So also whenever you see arguments, you want to ask yourself, is this the same argument or is it a new argument?
Mhm.
So for this one, what would you say?
I would say it's um I think it's part of the same argument, maybe just a different approach because he's invalidating what he was discussing earlier,
Okay.
saying that that lies do not provide help because they essentially block access or um, information to patients to make informed choices.
Uh-huh. So we know from the previous paragraph that um and then also like you see how the word help is in quotes.
Yeah,
So that's like whenever you do like this,
yeah,
kind of means like you don't really believe.
like mocking it almost.
Yeah, so we're saying that okay, not only do lies not provide the help, the so-called help that doctors, in previous paragraphs thought it would lead to, but it also does this new thing. So I would say like, okay, lies do not provide help,
Yeah,
which is a continuation of the previous paragraph's argument. But now we have a new argument where it invades the autonomy of patients, making them unable to make informed choices.
yeah,
So we have like the previous paragraph's argument that the lies actually don't help the patients.
yeah,
And we're also adding a new argument saying that the lies also, you know, mess with the patient's ability to make informed choices about their own health.
yeah.
So, okay, good.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay. We are becoming increasingly aware of all that can befall patients in the course of their illness when information is denied or distorted. Okay. So I guess this is supporting now the argument, the new argument saying that uh, lying actually can befall patients, right?
Mhm.
Should I continue or?
Mhm.
Yeah. Dying patients, especially, who are easiest to mislead and most often kept in the dark, can then not make decisions about the end of life, about whether or not to enter a hospital or to have surgery, about where and with whom to spend the remaining time, about how to bring their affairs to a close and take leave. Okay.
Mhm.
So just more support, right, about really how they could actually harm um, patients when making end of life decisions.
Mhm. Good.
Yeah.
So, all right, what can we say for this?
So we could say, I guess, up arrow to patient autonomy, right? Or invasion of patient autonomy. Um, and then we can say dying patients harmed, right? Something like that.
Yep. So, but the arrow to say that the thing above doesn't happen, meaning that help, the so-called help, doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
And that it also removes the patient's autonomy. And then example being the dying patients on, how to spend their last living moments and you know, end of life care and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
yep.
Um, lies also do harm to those who tell them, harm to their integrity, and in the long run to their credibility.
Okay. Is this
Yeah,
new
it's a new
argument?
argument.
Good. New
Argument. Yeah.
argument saying?
It's saying that lies harm in the person who's telling them, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, their integrity and their credibility. Okay, good.
Lies hurt their colleagues as well. So not doesn't only harm them, it hurts their colleagues. The suspicion of deceit undercuts the work of many doctors who are scrupulously honest with their patients. It contributes to the spiral of litigation and of defensive medicine, and thus it injures, in turn, the entire medical profession. Okay. Yeah, so it also harms, I guess, like that's what it's saying, right? It harms the entire medical profession. And then my question as well would be, so the little notes that we write, I've been writing them as well when I do practice passages. Um, when you're doing the test, are more of a mental note, right? Rather than writing it down.
Yeah, yeah. Or it can even be writing it down, but like, by the time, because like right now we're practicing like being able to organize our thoughts and to
Yeah.
write them down. And whatever we write down, we can use as a reference instead of going back to the passage. But by the time, after you do enough practice with this, it's like you in sorry, you internalize the the ability to organize it and to write it down. So if you internalize it, then it's almost like you can do that without actually writing it down. Or if you do write something down, write like a couple of, usually when I would be doing a passage like this, like I would uh jot down like a couple of, like I would go into it wanting to write what I wrote here, but
Yeah.
in like the middle of writing, I would be like, okay, I kind of get it, so I'll maybe write just like a couple of words.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
makes, I'm sure that the more you do, the faster it is, and then you almost just have to write 2 or 3 words to recall.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the also just the like the highlighting can serve as like that. I call it like a pseudo map.
Mhm.
Because it kind of, if you just read the highlights, like it would put the kind of ideas together. So like
Yeah.
for like the first paragraph, doctors lie, dwarfed greater needs, shelter brutal news. So it's like, in my head at least, it's like, okay, should doctors lie? Well, there's greater needs than honesty, and one of the things that a doctor can do to in lying is to shelter them for from brutal news, etc.
Yeah.
And the next paragraph, we have just 46-year-old man, and I'm thinking of that as just an example of where you lie. Lying can be good,
Mhm.
uh, but ultimately that reasons to lie should be to help the patient and not to help yourself.
Yeah.
And the paragraph after, we have a bunch of evidence. So we're evidence to the contrary, where they're saying that, well, not really to the contrary yet, but it's just saying that doctors believe this. They believe
Yeah.
that if that lying is not as important or honesty is not as important as other things, like
Yeah.
the do no harm thing. Uh,
Yeah.
and we have some examples of that. And then paragraph 4, that contrast word is what like really switches things up and finally gives us insight into what the author is trying to say. And the author is trying to say that this deception, the belief that doctors have that this deception is okay if your real goal is to do no harm.
Yeah.
The author is saying here now that that's not true. That studies show that patients want to know the truth because it helps them get better. So the argument of saying that, I'm a doctor, I'm not going to tell this patient that, they have some terminal illness because I want to protect them, um,
Yeah.
is not something that they want. It's not something that the patients want. Um,
Yeah.
we kind of finally see that in that 4th paragraph, and then after that, we elaborate more on that, and we
Yeah.
elaborate about how other reasons why lying is a misconception for the doctors.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would say that if you it's hard to like kind of teach how to highlight um because a lot of times people like highlight entire sentences and stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to highlight just like words, and
Yeah.
yeah, I call it like caveman speech. Like if you just literally read what I highlight, it's like the main like nouns, I guess, and you fill in the blanks yourself in terms of what's
Yeah. And
correct.
especially if you've read it already, you sort of fill them in regardless, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so for this paragraph, for the 6th paragraph, I would say that lies harm those who tell them their integrity and credibility and hurts the entire profession. So I put that in. And so now that we have, now that we've read the passage and we know what the main arguments or the arguments are for the passage, now
Mhm.
we just look for arguments that are mentioned more than once.
Okay.
So, um, so yeah, what could be some argument?
The first one that comes to mind is the second argument about essentially the illusory nature, right, or deception.
Hmm.
I think in those last three paragraphs, right, it's talked about the first is the truth of what patients want.
Hmm.
Then it explains sort of how it harms the patients, and then the last paragraph explains how it harms not only the patients but also the doctors and the profession of
Hmm.
medicine.
Yep. So which paragraphs would you circle here? Would you circle like this one?
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be, yeah, right. Like that's where it all starts, right? When they're like slowly bringing, that's like where the argument begins, um, and then 4, 5, and 6 would be together as well,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. So yeah, because paragraph 1, we brought up some reasons that doctors may lie. Paragraph 2, we elaborate on that. And we kind of make this distinction between self-serving lies and lies that help the patient. But then paragraph 3, we start to talk about how the studies actually show that this is a like a fallacy. This is a mistaken belief that
Yeah,
could not be a good reason to or not be a good thing to do. And then paragraph 4, especially with that contrast word, we finally start to say what the author is trying to say, which is that the deception that like doctors believe that they are doing the right thing and lying, but studies show that that's not true. They're actually harming the patient that way. And paragraph 5, we say that we elaborate on that as well. And paragraph 6, we elaborate on that as well. So for our main idea, what can we say?
Main idea could be how long are we talking? Like maybe like a short sentence.
Like when it comes to the actual length of what to write, it's kind of like I don't want to really say like to write something short, because let's say you write something that is the first thing that comes to mind
Yeah.
and it's long or whatever, it'll take more time to figure out how to make it shorter.
Yeah, that's true.
Ultimately, whatever you write, like whatever like comes to mind first. So what would you say? Uh, and don't worry about like how long it is.
Yeah, I would say that the main idea here is first of all whether or not lying benefits patients, and then it turns out that it actually doesn't, and it harms patients,
Mhm.
harms physicians, and harms the medical profession.
Yep. So I put doctors mistakenly forego honesty to help patients when it doesn't.
Yeah.
So the grammar is not going to be right here. So,
Yeah,
but
but it's just like a reference, like the map you said, the caveman map.
yep. So okay, take a screenshot of like the passage with the highlights and the map, and we can go into this. All right. So I'm going to block the passage,
Yeah.
and let's have you try this out. I'm going to block this too. Let's just try it
Let me
out.
close the passage here too. All right. Okay. So the author's attitude toward physicians who fail to inform patients that their illness is terminal is best described as a combination of. Okay, so I guess it's just asking us, how does the author feel towards physicians that lie to patients who are terminally ill?
Mhm.
And I would say maybe his attitude towards the end is more negative,
Mhm.
right? Sees them as almost harming the patient, right? So not even upholding their,
Mhm.
the do no harm.
Yep. So we're now going to look for choices that basically say something bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start from A.
So indignation and contempt. Um, okay, those are both bad, right?
Tell me a little bit more.
Um, indignation uh would be like looking down on them. Um, right? Is would that
It's a form of that.
yeah.
Um, I would say that it also is like like if you're pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So indignation and contempt, that's kind of like being pissed off about it and like hating it. Maybe not hate, but resenting it, right? So
Yeah.
they are negative, which is what we're looking for, but maybe we can compare it to others. Like how do you feel about it as a standalone? Like,
If yeah, I mean, I maybe it's a little too negative.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I, yeah, I just like a quick glance at the other ones.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, with of course, like on the test, you're gonna do it like more quickly with looking at just what the right answer is. But for our
Yeah.
purposes, it'll help us to know why the wrong answers are wrong as well. So you're exactly right. Indignation and contempt is a little too negative. It's like it brings emotions into it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. Um, disapproval and comprehension. So this one is both negative, uh, but also understanding, I guess, of the sort of the situation at hand. Um, it could work.
Mhm.
Could work. I would probably click it and look through the other ones and see if anyone is a better option than that.
Yep. So now we can say, okay, is it at least better than A?
Yeah,
So we can say, all right, let's get rid of A. It's too extreme.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, and then C, perplexity and tolerance. Not really. I mean, he doesn't really show tolerance to it in the last five or last three paragraphs, right?
Hmm.
So I would say that B is a better option than C here.
What do you think about perplexity?
Perplexity is good because I guess it is a complicated situation. He does bring that, he does discuss that, I guess, in the first two paragraphs, right? With the 46-year-old man saying that,
Hmm.
oh, do you lie to him to help him, or do you lie to him, or do you tell him the truth and ruin his vacation? Uh, so yeah, I guess that word would be better than comprehension. Like if they were flipped, it would be the best option, but
Well, let's think about that a little bit, right? If you're perplexed, what can you tell me a little bit more about that word?
oh yeah, perplex is like, oh, perplex. I guess it's like confused. Is it
Yeah.
confused? Yeah.
Yeah. So did the author seem to be confused? Was the author like, yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty
Mhm.
set on his opinion.
Yep. So yeah, so for two reasons. So like of course tolerance doesn't fit. You can get rid of choice C for that, but I want you to also see that perplexity doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So yeah, between A and B, let's get rid of C.
And then D, yeah, regret and justification. He doesn't regret anything, and he doesn't justify lying.
Hmm. Good.
So out the door.
Yep. So B, right? Because
Yeah.
disapproval means that this person, the author disapproves, but it's not like the author's getting upset about it. And the comprehension might seem at first to be like out of left field,
Yeah.
but it's like the opposite of the perplexity, right? It's like the author understands why doctors, lie, um, but disapproves of it. So good job.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Which of the following arguments is not made by the author? Okay. Um, so we know the arguments that he made. We highlighted them. My question, actually, I don't think we went over questions like these last time. Um, do you try to answer the question without looking at the question stem, or do you just go straight to the stem and essentially like count them out?
So, wait, are you asking like not looking at the choices, you mean, or
Yeah, at the choices, yeah.
oh yeah, so yeah, this type of thing, it's much harder to do it without the choices because it's like which of the following uh,
Yeah.
arguments has not been made. So it'll be pretty hard for us to
Yeah.
do that without. So yeah, so for this one, you're gonna want to look through the choices. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would just look through the choices and say like, okay, did we talk about this? Did we mention this?
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking for one that wasn't made by the author.
Mhm.
So A, physicians may knowingly prescribe medically unjustified treatments. Um, I don't think that was an argument that was made. I mean, it's a little too medically unjustified treatments. Yeah, I mean, first thing that comes to my mind is that didn't really talk about prescription of treatments, right?
So if you look at the map, maybe there's some. I mean, like I didn't write out all of the examples in the map, but there could be something that.
Yeah, I guess with paragraph 5 where we talk about dying patients, was that where we discuss or where they discussed treatments?
Maybe so we're looking for like medically unjustified treatments. So that could be, or maybe I can let you see the passage real quick.
Mhm. Is that it? I don't know how it changed. There we go.
Yep, yep.
Uh, so innumerable placebos.
Yep. Yeah. And in the map for paragraph 3, I put like i.e. placebos.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I had forgotten about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so that I guess that was an argument.
Mhm.
Um, B, saying knowledge about their condition can help patients in many ways. That was an argument that he made. He said that patient autonomy, right, was important for them to make decisions about
Yep.
uh,
We see
life.
that, yeah, when we see that in the passage in the paragraph that you mentioned for the first one,
Yeah.
like this one would be like that, and then
Oh,
this is the one where, removes patient autonomy about how to spend their last living years and in a end of life care and stuff. So
yeah.
B is made in that argument B is made in paragraph 5. Yep.
Perfect. And C, saying patients may deteriorate if they have no reasons to hope. Um, patients may. Uh, I don't think. I mean, they did talk about patient deterioration, right? Uh, but I think that that wasn't really an argument made
Mhm.
by the author.
Mhm.
It's sort of out of scope, I think, in terms of what they're talking about. Um, yeah, it talks about deterioration. The patients may deteriorate if they have no reason to hope. Okay, so they may recover or deteriorate faster if they. But they're saying that if that's. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So they're saying that if they find out that they're terminally ill, then they may deteriorate faster.
Okay. Oh, where is that?
Is that in the third paragraph, right? Where he's saying, uh, seriously ill, do not want to know truth, deteriorate faster,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, um, I guess that would maybe is an argument made by the author.
Okay.
Um, and then the last one saying doctors are often wrong about patients' wishes. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was discussed, right? That's what they were saying that, right? He was saying it was an illusory nature, right?
Hmm.
That studies show patients want to know the truth for better effects.
Hmm. Yep.
So I
Think
support in paragraph 4.
like right there, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's confusing because C sort of uses the same word as the passage. May deteriorate if they have no reason to hope. I mean, it does say it in paragraph 3, right? Informing them risks destroying their hopes so that they may recover more slowly or deteriorate faster.
So
Uh,
yep.
yeah.
So remember, so when we look for arguments, what are the other two things we want to look for?
um, Maybe the author's voice.
So for any argument, we want to look for, well, support if there's any, and
Mhm.
then who is saying the argument.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a tricky one. So this is the study that's saying that, not the author.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it would be. C then, right? Because it's not being made by him, it's being made by the studies saying that.
Yep.
Okay. That's tough. That's a hard question, at least for me.
Yeah. So yeah, always look for those three things: argument, who is making the argument, and what type of support,
Okay.
if any.
Okay. So argument, who's making it, and support for it. Okay. Nice. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see. Nice. Okay. Which of the following findings about gravely ill patients would most weaken the author's position? So we're just looking for weakeners or even strengtheners. I think in this case you could do both, right? While you're reading through them.
Uh,
So
we need
the ones that would most weaken would be the answer, but the ones that would strengthen would not be the answer.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So findings about gravely ill patients that are weakening his position. Okay. A saying those who deny that their condition is serious usually have milder symptoms. We can those who deny that they're okay.
So what is this question asking us?
It's asking which of these answers essentially about terminally ill or gravely ill patients would weaken the author's argument.
Mm-hmm. And they're saying that these are findings, right?
Yeah.
So what they're really showing us here are examples of evidence,
Mm-hmm.
and they're asking us, which of the pieces of evidence, if true, right, would weaken the author's position.
Yeah.
And the author's position is like what we wrote, like what our main idea would be, right? And the author's position overall seems to be that doctors, without their knowing it, like they mistakenly forego honesty to so-called
Yeah.
patients. So what finding, what evidence, if it's true, right, would weaken that the author's argument?
Yeah. Um, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the first one,
Oh, and then something else that you can do for
yeah,
weakener is to flip your main idea and see what would coincide with that. So if we flipped, what would we get if we flipped our main idea?
if we flipped our main idea, we could say that uh doctors uphold honesty to benefit their patients. Uh, or it could be that lying does benefit patients.
Which one would you think is best?
Uh, I would say that the second one, right? That lying would benefit patients.
Mhm. So we are looking for something that would be along the lines of saying doctors lying to patients is good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, what do you think about A?
Those who deny that their condition is serious usually have milder symptoms. So people that are saying that their condition is not, or that they're not gravely ill,
Mhm.
usually are not gravely ill, right? Uh, have milder symptoms. So
Mhm.
uh, that doesn't really answer the question, I feel.
So so in the passage we talked about, you know, one of the reasons that you might not want to tell the patient the truth is that if their condition is serious, it may make that condition worse.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah. This is the physician saying this, right?
Yeah. I guess it's saying in this choice that it's the patient who's saying it, but I think the idea is the same in that if you are not treating your situation with truth, that it will benefit you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess those, yeah, I like that one then in that case, right? It's saying that uh denying this whether they're gravely ill
Mhm.
um means that they usually have milder symptoms, so
Mhm.
they're in better health, right?
Yep.
Um so yeah, I guess we can should we finish going through all the other ones?
Yep.
Those who are denied of the truth seldom realize that they have been deceived. Um I would say that it doesn't really weaken the author's position because it doesn't talk about, well, um it's saying so the it's saying those who are denied the truth seldom realize that they have been, so people that are lied to don't really realize that they've or never realize that they've been lied to,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
um but it doesn't really address his position in that sense, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I would,
Go on.
doesn't really support or weaken,
Mhm.
uh just provides maybe a scenario of yeah, sort of out of scope.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Like this could be a true statement, but yeah, it doesn't answer the question, right? We're looking for, you know, something that would say that doctors lying to patients is good, right? Because the author's position is the opposite. The author's position is doctors, it's not right for doctors to lie. Um,
Yeah.
it actually doesn't help patients. So B, yeah, you could say that that's out of scope, and doesn't really strengthen or weaken anything.
Okay.
So, yep.
See, those who guess the truth usually encourage false hopes in their families. Um, so people that are guessing the truth of their illness encourage false hopes, and so that I guess their families think that they'll get better, but they really won't,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, this is not helping the patient, so it would go against, or would go with the author's position against the flipped one, right?
Uh, I guess so. It's saying like, okay, if you guess the truth, I think that word is significant because A is like, all right, denying their own condition. B is denied the truth, like as it was given to them, and then C, guessing the truth. So, so it's kind of like in that. So it's not really. So like, okay, um, we're looking for lying. So the author says lying is bad for the patient. The opposite would be the lying is good for the patients.
Yeah.
But guessing the truth, if you guess the truth, you don't really know what the truth is. And maybe it would encourage false hopes if you guessed that the truth was better than your
Yeah.
actual situation. Uh,
Mhm.
but guessing the truth doesn't seem to be something that the author is really talking about. The author's talking about like legit, like, what the truth is, and then denying that truth. No,
Okay.
no guesswork involved.
Okay.
So I would say it's not as strong.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Okay. And D saying those who are told the truth usually become less cheerful. Um, Also doesn't, I mean, doesn't really support his position, right? He's saying those who are told the truth usually become, uh, well, I guess in paragraph 4, right, it's saying patients want truth for better effects.
Okay.
Um, So here they're being told the truth makes them less yeah. It's sort of out of scope as well, right? Like I mean, cheerful doesn't really, I mean, I guess it could be harming a patient, but um
Mm-hmm.
more of a feeling. I mean, I like A more than D, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you're between, I guess, these two choices, you want to really like highlight or emphasize how they're different,
Yeah.
right? And so what could you say about
Yeah. A is like an actual symptom, a condition, whereas B is more of a feeling, uh,
uh-huh.
which I guess isn't as profound, right?
Yeah, so I would see it like so D told the truth, less cheerful. I would imagine that that would have would depend on what the truth is. If the truth is that you're gonna die, you're probably not gonna be you probably will be less cheerful.
Yeah.
If the truth is you're fine, you'll probably be more cheerful.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that truth is. And same thing with C, guessing the truth. If the truth is that you're gonna die, that would encourage false hopes in the families. But if the truth is that you're fine,
Yeah.
it won't encourage false hopes, right? And then B was just kind of like irrelevant because it's about whether someone who is being lied to realizes that they're being lied to or not.
Mhm.
But A says that if you lie, like, I guess it's not saying that the doctor is lying to you. It's just saying, like, if you lie about or you deny, you're in denial about your own condition, uh,
Yeah.
you're in denial that your own condition is serious. That gives us a value of truth that the other choices don't have because we know that this time the condition is serious. And
Okay.
so the condition is like serious. Um, the author of the passage would say um, that this probably means that your symptoms would get worse.
Yeah.
And so, as a weakener, this would fit best with the flipping of the main idea, which is that if the doctors lie, that it benefits patients.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Nice.
so yeah, so we see that for A, it's like telling you that you're denying the condition, you're denying the truth,
Yeah.
and C and D simply talk about truth, but not if it's good truth or bad truth. So it's hard for us to say if this is going to cause false hopes or make people less cheerful. C and D
Yeah.
are almost kind of the opposites in that way. Like C is like if the truth is worse than what you're telling your family, then it would cause them to have false hopes. And D is
Yeah.
saying if the truth is that you're dying or whatever, then you would become less cheerful. But
Yeah.
you just don't elaborate on what that truth is, whereas A does.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, generally speaking, for weakeners like this, it could help to take that main idea, flip it, and then look for what agrees with that.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good tactic.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay. We'll go ahead.
So,
Um, okay. So in what way is an increase in the number of medical malpractice suits most directly relevant to the argument presented? Um, so it's asking us, um, right, the increase in litigation is relevant to which argument,
mhm,
right? And it talks about that in the last paragraph,
mhm,
um, where lies not only harm the patients, it harms the doctors, the system through more litigation, right? Um, so I guess we're looking for something that talks about that, right?
mhm.
Um, So A is saying it is inconsistent with the theme that doctors are deeply concerned about the welfare of their patients. Um, so that's saying, I guess it's not really it's not directly relevant to the doctor's concern about welfare, right? It's inconsistent with the theme that doctors are deeply concerned. I don't know if the passage ever really talked about doctors being deeply concerned about the welfare of their patients, right?
So some of these questions could be so the thing about out of scope that I usually say is that it could be it has there you could be it has like a risk of being overused because for let's say that previous question choices and like the choices here so far, like the answers won't really be explicitly presented in the passage. So we just have to so we can't say like, okay, they never talked about this, but
Yeah.
but what we want to do is we want to see how this increase in the number of medical malpractice suits, how is that most directly relevant to like the argument presented, which is, you know, that doctors who lie don't help patients the way that they think they do.
Yeah.
So so for this, we want to ask ourselves, is there a theme in the passage that states that doctors are deeply concerned about the welfare of their patients? And we also want to know if that is going to be relevant to the number of malpractice suits that they have,
Yeah.
right? So for A, you know, you have to ask yourself, if this is true, would this play a role in the number of malpractice suits?
Um, so seeing the doctors are deeply concerned about. Yeah, I guess it could be, right? Um, it's I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking too much here. I think that it could be, right? Because if their concern with patients could lead to better outcomes, uh, and then they could get, sued for bad outcomes. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um,
So like, so throughout the passage, did we ever talk about doctors, I guess, not being concerned about the welfare of their patients?
not really. No, most of it was concern, and then deciding whether or not to lie to benefit them, and
Yeah,
whether
yeah. Um, so it seems like they're talking about how, or we never talked about doctors intentionally doing things that would be harmful to their patients, right? So I think what A is kind of at what A is saying is that the theme that doctors are deeply concerned about the welfare of their patients is not consistent with the number of medical malpractice suits.
yeah.
So would a patient, so like let's say you have a doctor who's deeply concerned and a doctor who isn't, would that affect, according to passage information, would that affect the number of malpractice suits that they have?
Uh, According to passage information, no.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, we can move on to yeah, the next one and see how that works.
Yeah.
The reason that I wanted to do like, you know, each of the choices is that some a choice may seem right, but you want to make sure that there isn't something that's even more right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. B, it weakens the premise that knowledge is the determinant of the ability of patients to cope with hospitalization. Um, so this one's saying does the increase in the number of medical malpractice suits weaken the idea that knowledge determines whether patients can cope with hospitalization?
Mhm.
No, right? It doesn't really affect whether or not patients can cope with hospitalization, right?
Mhm.
Ability to.
Mhm.
Um, so I'd block it out.
Mhm.
Um, Ceasing it confirms the suggestion that doctors are violating the precept to do no harm. So is an increase in the number of medical malpractice suits confirming the suggestion that doctors are violating this precept? Um, yeah, I guess, right? It is confirming if there is an increase in malpractice suits, then you could assume that doctors are violating the precept of do no harm.
Maybe.
Uh,
Do
yeah, I mean,
sorry, do you remember where they mentioned like the malpractice stuff in the passage?
yeah, I was in the last paragraph.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you take a look at that.
Yeah, so I think it's here, right? It contributes to the spiral of litigation and of defensive medicine. So the suspicion of deceit undercuts the work of many doctors who are scrupulously honest with their patient. It contributes to the spiral of litigation and of defensive medicine. Okay.
So I guess I kind of like went do this too fast when we went over this, but when they're saying that it undercuts the suspicion of deceit undercuts the work of the many doctors who are scrupulously honest. Um, what is that telling us?
It's saying the suspicion that patients are being lied to uh, basically like screws over the doctors that are honest,
Yeah,
right?
perfect,
Yeah.
perfect, exactly.
Okay.
So with C would be like doctors violating that precept of do no harm, and maybe that's why they're facing malpractice suits.
Yeah.
I think, throughout the passage, we are we're saying that the doctors aren't really trying to do that. Like the doctors are trying to or believe that they are, you know, doing no harm. That's what they
Yeah.
believe they're doing. So
Okay.
if that's what they believe that they're doing, then the malpractice suits shouldn't be against them saying that they're violating that precept because that's what they think they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's not really relevant to the argument presented then.
yeah, I would even say it's contradicted by the passage.
Okay. So I mean, in that case, it would be D, but D is saying it supports the idea that current medical attitudes
Mhm.
promote mistrust of the judgment of doctors.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, there's evidence for it right there that we just read.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say D, right? D falls in line. So if there's an increase in the number of medical malpractice suits, it supports the suspicion of deceit, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say D.
Yep.
Nice. Um, so assume that a march was held to demonstrate support for the author's ideas. Which of the following slogans would be most appropriate for the placards? Um, okay. Um, A, don't trust MDs, maybe is a little too aggressive,
Hmm.
right? Since they were saying that the undercut, right, of deceit, or like there is doctors that are being
Hmm.
honest. So maybe A is a little too intense.
Yep.
Uh, B, my body belongs to me. Yeah, I think that one, maybe it falls in line with knowing the truth about their conditions.
Hmm.
So by saying that their body belongs to them, then they should be aware of what is going on with them.
Yeah. Okay, do you see anything like that in the what we wrote for the paragraphs?
Yeah, studies show patients want truth for better effects, right? Or patient autonomy, maybe.
Yeah. Which one would it be?
Patient autonomy.
Yep. Good.
So I would go B. Uh, and then just to count C and D out, help those who can't help themselves. It's not talking about whether or not they can help themselves or not.
Hmm.
It's that one that would be out of scope then, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I have the right to die with dignity is also,
Hmm.
yeah, it's too intense.
Yeah, right. And a little bit too specific as well, right? Because that's one of the things that we
Mhm.
talked about. Like, what I wrote was, for example, like an example of removing patient autonomy, dying patients, how to spend their last living times, etc.
Yeah,
So, yep. So yeah, it'll be B because A is too too general,
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
all cops are bastards or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, all right.
That's not the author's view at all in this. Yeah.
Wait,
All right. That's not the author's view
which one?
about the A, right?
Oh, yeah. Because it's too general, but yeah, the B fits in with the patient's autonomy part.
Yeah.
So, yep, awesome work. So, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about it compared to like when you do it yourself?
I feel like maybe here I'm forced maybe to be more uh like dive a little deeper when I do it myself. Maybe like for example, this was an hour 20 minutes.
Hmm.
When I do it myself, maybe it's 30, 40 minutes,
Hmm.
35 minutes. It was like the average.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, a lot more in depth. And I guess that's because you're asking me questions like I have to explain myself
Hmm.
with each section. So I'm gonna try to carry that over to when I do it by myself. And
Yeah. So one of the sessions I will have maybe next time would be like having you like read and then tell me like what you like in your own words what like the sentences and paragraphs are saying and to kind of have you take the reins and write out like the map of like paragraph one, this is what we're doing, paragraph two, because um yeah. So when you read it and you write down the stuff like we did over here on the right, do you like yeah, do you write it out like that or how do you write it?
yeah, I can send you one if you want, or I can just let me see if I can pull it up here. Um, yeah, like for I can give you an example. Like
Mhm.
I did one about economic. It was like passage 7, so maybe 2 passages before this. Um, I wrote like for example, paragraph 1: U.S. manufacturing companies versus low wage countries equals bad pay equals bad living and social problems. Like that's sort of how I would summarize
Could
a
you
paragraph.
like
Sorry.
share the screen with it? I just want to take a look.
Oh, yeah. I gotta let me just bring it up here.
Oh yeah, the ST study creation. Yeah. That's a good thing to use for like were you asking about like psych soc?
Yeah, I was asking about psych social stuff.
Yeah, I forgot, but yeah, that ST study S tier study creation, it has
Oh, this one here,
a
yeah.
lot of psych soc stuff. Yeah. You have behavioral sciences down here, psych theories, developmental timelines. So those tabs have a lot of psych soc stuff in
Mhm.
them.
Okay, perfect. I'll start looking at that. Yeah, I was considering doing the Pancal deck. I have like 50 days before my test day. Um, and there's like 3,000 cards, but I did most of the miles down psych deck. Wasn't super in depth. I felt like I had content down pat, so I'm not too sure. In the test day, there was a lot of 50/50s, I felt. And maybe I didn't have, maybe you're right, like the U world would have been helpful for addressing 50/50s like that.
So
Uh,
yeah, so Psych Soc, I don't know if I told you this before, but like it's the highest mean score, like with
yeah,
percentiles and stuff. So, and that is because it's the most content dependent. So if you know the material, you're going to score well on it. But since people are doing that, right, on the actual test, they're going to try to make that Psych Soc section harder.
yeah,
So knowing all the terms, like there's no like kind of limit to how many terms that you would have to know. So every time you like take a practice test, like once we get to that point,
yeah,
yeah, for the psych social section, like any term you see, even if you got the question right, any term you see that you don't know, the meaning of, write it down or make an Anki card for it, or get that knowledge in your head because they can just that's the section that they're going to try to
yeah.
make.
Yeah, I got some crazy questions like of stuff that I'd never reviewed, like word structure, like phenomes and phonemic. What are they called? Uh,
Phonemes.
Phonemes and morphemes and I hadn't. I mean, I sort of knew a little bit about it, but I didn't. I couldn't answer those questions. I had to guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That kind of stuff. Yeah. So when you said those were like on the actual MCAT that you took.
Yeah, yeah, they were.
Okay. All right, let's see.
They were on the Jack Wesson content review as well. I
Okay.
saw it and I was like, okay, no, I guess I thought in my head, I'm like, there's no way that this was content, and I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah, there's like no limit to to what they could possibly ask you. So but yeah, it's good that then you saw it on the Jack Weston content diagnostic. So yeah, phonemes, morphemes, those are like in like linguistics. Um
yeah,
And okay. So that's for psych soc. Okay. So and then oh yeah, and you're gonna show me, I think, some type of
yeah. I'm gonna change the screen and bring up the class notes. So uh,
okay, cool.
yeah, so just some of these were the ones we did last time. These are two that I tried doing.
Mhm.
Uh, so this is some of what it looks like, just similar style.
Mhm.
Um, not as condensed. I'm trying to like break it down even more, right? Uh, but you tell me.
Yeah, let me see. So US manufacturing competition, competitiveness,
Companies.
companies versus low wage countries lead to bad pay, bad living and social problems. Um, is that saying like that's in the low wage countries only?
Yeah, so the passage was saying that the like competition between manufacturing companies in the US and low wage countries leads to bad pay in the US
Oh,
and
okay.
manufacturing because everything's sort of taken overseas, right?
Got
And then that trickles down.
Okay. Trained workers can improve economic crisis and marketplace competitiveness. High performance workplace based on high productivity employees and high tech leads to less hiring. Employees lack basic skills. Employer see retraining as too expensive and no true return. Teaching basic skills before high level is too difficult and no real gain. From T, which what is teaching?
I don't know. I don't know who's
Uh,
typing it.
compared to other tax incentives, money. All right. Low skills, low wage path works until it doesn't. Therefore, low wage countries more competitive. Time, money, and lack of skills to reorganize lead businesses to be less competitive um, in global marketplace, and low wage, low skill jobs remain. So, what's your what would be like your main idea here?
I think my main idea was that sort of I think the main idea here was US manufacturing structure or like um yeah, like work structure is inefficient, makes it less competitive. and then I guess it was like the passage was making suggestions for improvement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so sorry, so you're saying that in the US there's tell
Yeah, yeah, I think my main idea was US manufacturing companies have maybe inefficient systems
Mhm,
and which was leading to low pay and low competitiveness because it was being essentially overtaken by lower wage countries that could do the same for less pay.
mhm,
Uh, and that retraining and teaching basic skills would be important
mhm.
for these companies to be more competitive, right?
Oh,
And that the government also, with the tax incentives, was not supporting them enough to improve.
can you show me this passage? I want to
Yeah,
take a
sure.
quick look.
Uh, go back here. So I'm just gonna change the screen share here.
Mhm.
You share desktop.
What state did you live in again?
I live in Florida
Okay, we're in Florida.
and Miami.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. What about you?
New York
Oh,
City.
nice. Nice. That's good too.
Hmm. Yeah, I went to Miami like for spring break a great many years ago.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Fun city. It's getting big.
Hmm.
People are coming over from New York actually.
Yeah,
So
what do
it's
you
big.
mean?
Just like a lot of New Yorkers coming down to live in Miami now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it's super, well, it's probably expensive in Miami.
It's expensive, but I guess it's a lot cheaper, right? Rent wise and
Yeah,
like
I pay my rent is ridiculous. Okay, let me see. So as US manufacturers fight to stay alive, hard to compete with. All right, let's see. Um, okay, so for the first paragraph, I would say something like US manufacturers hard to compete with low wage countries because there's fewer jobs available to blue collar workers.
yeah.
Here, I'll write some of this down. P1, US man hard to compete with low wage countries. For example, fewer blue collar jobs in US, and then also declining standard living and social problems. And then everyone says better trained workers would make the nation competitive again. Yeah, hence the call by the federal blah blah blah, which we can consider to be an RTA.
Yeah.
Uh, so this commission or whatever tells us that we have to. Okay, so paragraph two, like CSAW, whatever. I'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Says upgrade and workers' skills to solve to make nation competitive again. And then what is this in quotes high performance workplace? Everyone says is needed. Um, cross trained, lightly supervised, empowered to make decisions. These are people generally work in teams. Okay. State of the art computer technology upgrade to make it efficient. Okay. Consequently, high performance workplaces employ fewer people than they did. Okay, so maybe paragraph three, we could say that high performance workplace HPW um
Mhm.
equals like team um used to be okay decision more executive power because they can make decisions that used to be reserved for the bosses um uses tech um to be more efficient with less workers overall.
Mhm.
And then let's see. If companies want to make these high performance workplaces, mostly need well-trained, computer literate workers. Why is so much of the talk about the lack of basic skills such as reading, etc.? Answer, that's the anti. One of the reasons executive resist retraining and reorganization is that they'll take too much time and effort to remake employees without. Okay, so for this, we could say that why okay, companies want to make the high performance. Okay, companies want to make the HBW, and they need people who are specifically trained in some what seems to be complex skills, but for some reason they're just talking about basic skills.
No.
Why is that? Okay, so talk why companies talk of basic skills when you need like tech skills or whatever? Um, too much time without guarantee of success. Okay. Then we got Tom Lindsay, RTA over here. Executives find it too daunting to have to pay. So they don't want to pay for all this. Wait, to have to lay, sorry, the groundwork of reading, writing, and arithmetic before they can teach them the new skills from the technology.
Mhm.
Um, Status quo is a powerful force. Most companies concentrate on the short term, encouraged by Wall Street, as well as some government policies that tax breaks should be for some new fancy new building instead of teaching employees. Okay, so we can say here that um Tom TL, RTA, whatever. Let's see, too hard to set up basic skills for the tech skills because only focused on short term, i.e., Wall Street, pays for, let's say, like building instead of skills to improve productivity.
Mhm.
And then we got consequently, most companies don't abandon the low skills, low wage path until they have no other option. So, paragraph 6, I put arrow to the above because, or rather, does this until no other option.
Mhm.
And again, no guarantee. And okay, whatever, stuff like that. And then paragraph 7, another reason. Okay, paragraph 7, another reason for the above would be um employers don't know how to reorganize to make these work. Okay, so other reason is that employers, don't know how to make HPW, high performance workplaces.
Yeah.
So now putting it all together, it seems like the main idea could be something like um although US companies would benefit from HPW,
Mhm.
most do not, you know, implement this due to short term focus plus lack of plus ignorance.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, I did that pretty fast, but I think that that's what I would say for this. So like paragraph 1, US companies, US manufacturing companies hard to compete with low wage countries,
Mhm.
which yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, no, I'm just listening still.
Yep. And then, for example, fewer blue collar jobs in the US leads to declining standard of living and social problems. Paragraph 2, this organization says that what we need to do to make America competitive again is to upgrade American workers' skills. Paragraph 3, we introduce this concept of high performance workplace, which uses or takes advantage or results in more executive skills that used to be just for the bosses, and uses tech to become more efficient with less employees that you have to hire.
Yeah.
Or why do companies talk about these basic skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic when they need to learn how to use computers, essentially, right? So why are they doing that? Well, they think that it'll take too much time and there's no guarantee of success if they teach you the tech stuff. And then paragraph 5, we have Tom Lindsay, TL, RTA, too hard to set up the basic skills required for the too hard to set up basic skills for the tech skills. What I wrote there was kind of weird. Too hard to lay the groundwork before they can. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's too hard to teach them the basic skills, which is like the groundwork, before they can teach this tech skills and stuff. So again, too much time with. Oh wait, I already read that. Sorry. Focus on the short term. Okay, got it. Paragraph 5. Too hard to set up basic skills for the tech skills because they're only focused on the short term. The example we have is Wall Street pays for like a building or something instead of teaching.
Yeah, I think it was like the government or something, right? The
Uh,
tax, yeah, the tax laws benefit.
oh yeah, tax breaks for a fancy new building, but not for teaching employees new skills. So
Yeah,
maybe I could add something about what would be the incentive for these companies to do that. Would be the tax breaks or whatever. And then paragraph 6, we do this because we do this until there's no option.
yeah,
We forego teaching the tech skills until we have no other option, and then we have to do that. And then paragraph 7, another reason another reason for not doing this high performance workplace is that the employers don't know how to make, they're ignorant as to how to make that the high performance workplaces. So they
yeah,
just don't know. And so main idea, although US companies would benefit from HPW, most don't implement this due to short-term focus, ignorance. There's other reasons too, like there's no guarantee of success,
yeah.
um, stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I would say the gist of this is. So you can like screenshot just this like the map here, and you can kind of like put it next to like what you wrote and see if it's see if it's similar.
Yeah, I was sort of following through with the stuff that I wrote, and it's somewhat similar. Yeah, I would say my stuff maybe is even a little shorter than yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I mean. Like, you know, if it's ultimately time, right? So if it took less time for me to write something long, like paragraph 5, and of course typing is faster or whatever, could
yeah,
be faster than writing, but if it took me a certain amount of time to write what I wrote for paragraph 5, um, it would take me more time to like think, okay, how can I make this more short? You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I wrote it like such that there's like opposing views and that means opposing arguments, and we're trying to figure out why what the author's argument is and why the author's argument is what it is. So I'd say from the map that you made, just think a little bit about like when you finish making it, like kind of look for those repeated arguments,
Yeah.
write out like a main idea. So
Okay.
once you get to the point where you can write out the main idea, that's a good point to be in.
Yeah.
And also from Jack Weston, like their dailies or whatever, their regular cars passages, like
Mhm.
when you click like the answer or whatever, it will tell you the main idea in like 3-4 words. So that could be a good way for you to test, like when you read a passage, what you think is the main idea, and then like reference the main idea of the Jack Weston passage. So that could also be something that you could do.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. So
Are doing
uh
that.
yeah, how are the other sections going for you?
The other section's good. Earlier today I was doing like organ systems. You rolled just I had forgotten some little things like all the enzymes and stuff in the duodenum, and so I had to remember a bunch of little facts, but I feel like the overall idea, like the kidney and osmolarity and like the lymph system, right? So all that's sort of fresh. So just a little bit of recall that I have to do.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like content wise, I'm semi-confident. There's sort of gaps. I think the worst for me now is like the 50/50s, right? Like knowing something in depth enough to throw out the other one and say, okay, this is definitely the answer.
Yeah, I see exocrine pancreas here. Uh,
Yeah,
what's exocrine mean?
exocrine is sort of released like enzymatic, um, like not within the blood, I guess. There's
Yeah, good. Like, yeah, good. Okay. So, all right, like organ systems and physiology and stuff like that. All right, that's good. And I think I have like well, maybe I don't, but in that shared folder, I think I may have about like the kidneys or something under
I'm
P.
gonna pull it up.
Yeah.
I think it's here. Association that hope. Uh, would be would it be in PDFs?
hmm
Yeah, can search it up, I guess, right? But
Yeah, I think I
kidney here.
think I talked more about it in oh yeah, this is like kind of incomplete. And I wrote a little bit more about it in a PDF called Galvanic Cells. It's like towards the end of that. Um
Like the end of this whole sheet, or
oh oh so the sheet will be called Galvanic Cells. Yeah. And yeah, at the end of this I go into yeah, like this type of thing. So like this is just um like I guess like what happens if you have a drop in blood pressure or a drop in blood volume. You can
yeah,
like renin angiotensin thing um, that would cause something to, like aldosterone to be released in the kidneys, and then ADH as well. And but yeah, in general, you should know, like, for instance, like the glomerulus here, and then like the Bowman's capsule here, and then, the proximal convoluted tubule, and then the distal convoluted tubule, and then the collecting duct, right? And
yeah,
like as you go from the outer portion is the cortex, right? The inner portion is the medulla, and as you go in, the solute concentration goes up. So if you're going down like this, um, you're entering into like a higher osmolarity. So you're going to have water essentially like, come into the um wait, in I think it's out of actually.
yeah. I think the water is reabsorbed into
Yeah,
the blood, right? And
yeah.
then I think on that side,
Mhm.
it's not water, it's just sodium, right?
Yeah. There's the one that it's like the thin ascending loop or whatever, and then thick, and the thick one I think is not permeable to water. It's something like that. But
Yeah.
okay, awesome. And the physics stuff, because when you mentioned like the content diagnostic, you mentioned some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
the physics stuff. I need to go over some electricity stuff. I didn't have any electricity stuff in my test in my MCAT. It was a lot of orgo. Um, and my orgo was pretty good. I think I got like an 80% on the Jack Weston orgo.
Yep.
Let me pull it. Uh, let's see.
but you will likely get electricity stuff on
Yeah.
your test, like your next test or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it seems like you have a really good understanding of the concepts and stuff. Usually when I have students do this, they get like less than whatever 60% and stuff. Um but yeah, so yeah, I would, make sure to understand, like as you review this, like, understand why the wrong answers are wrong, why the right answers are right, and you can make UWorld like questions for the topics that you got wrong here, to get more practice on that. And also, whatever questions you have, we can go over when we meet. I shared with you that, did I share with you like this physics resource? Like,
So unless it's in the, is it in the,
I put it in the chat.
in this chat? Oh, here we go. Oh, I saw that you had this on one of your sheets,
Mhm.
and I saw the it was cars passages, but I did look through this website integrated, and I saw that some of the videos are paid and stuff, but they did have good resources. So
Yeah, yeah. So here, like, I don't know if they have videos or not, but these are like these kind of like cards that you can kind of treat as like kind of like lecture PowerPoint cards or whatever. And if you hit like topic chapters here, it'll open a drop down menu with, yeah, with all this stuff. So like let's say you hit electricity over here, it'll show you that, and then left and right will help you, navigate forwards and backwards. But yeah, this goes over the concepts really, really well. And
great.
they have lots of good questions as well that all teach something like something kind of, well, I shouldn't say something new, but they all teach some important concepts that could be exceptions that you can see on the
Mhm.
test. But
Okay.
this would be like kind of like my go-to, like if I wanted to learn about like, yeah, like electricity or something like that, I would use this.
I saw that. Sorry to interrupt you. I saw that you said that pictures were your favorite source, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like yeah, because like when I would be studying for something like and I wanted to learn something, I would just do Google image search and I would find some type of lecture slides and stuff. But um but I know most people like these days like to use videos.
Yeah.
So um so I think some of the videos are, you mentioned a couple of them, but there's like Chad something.
Yeah, Chad's prep. I don't have it anymore. I probably won't get it since I already if it's paid. It's like a monthly
I didn't know
subscription.
it costs money.
Well, I think there is free videos online.
Yeah.
There was like I think the MCAT sort of oriented one was like $20 a month. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And you had access essentially to all the videos and like practice questions. Um, they were pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean they were pretty solid just
Okay.
to get a good overview. But if you go by them really quickly, then you sort of start forgetting the things that you went over in the beginning.
Mhm. Got it. Uh,
Um,
okay. So your way of like learning the material from the content diagnostics is like how is that going for you? Like,
what I've been doing is Anki. So I'll go on Anki and I'll just do flashcards
mhm,
within that topic area. And then like for example, that's what I did today. Like I
yep.
went I went over organ systems on Anki, and then I did so Anki will say I did 45 minutes, but when I'm on Anki, then I'll go to Google and I'll search up something. Maybe I'll watch a video like I did for the exocrine pancreas.
Mhm.
I'll reinforce that and then I'll just go to the next card. And then when I feel like I don't know a card well enough, then I'll just study that. And that's new. I didn't do that before. This is like a new strategy that I find quite helpful because you can get through things fast.
Yeah, yeah. It's a targeted content review. So awesome. That seems to be good. And yeah, I think yeah, just moving forward, just continue with what you're doing. Continue with what you're doing in cars. Um, Continue reviewing the content.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, that works. So when should I put you in for next?
So I think you said we'll do next Thursday. I was thinking we could do next Tuesday then as well if you're free on Tuesday. If not, we could do Monday.
Let me see.
Uh,
Are you available on Monday the well, let's see.
Because Monday's Memorial Day, right? Um, I'm free on Memorial Day, but uh, do Monday. If it's earlier in the day, maybe better.
So I have Monday at at like all my earlier sessions are taken except for Friday, but on Monday I can do like 7 p.m. Eastern. And
Okay.
but on Friday I could do 3 p.m.
Okay. You said that you prefer to do Thursdays, I think through email.
Yeah, it just that this upcoming Thursday I'm gonna have availability after 7
Oh,
p.m.
okay.
But do you mind if like I have someone who's taking the test on Saturday,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so I'm going to try to schedule that person in for like an earlier time in the week.
Yeah.
So do you mind if I like contact that student, get some meeting down that will likely be in the beginning, uh,
Yeah, yeah, you do.
and then I can put you in for like a later date. And then after that, like the next week, we could do like any of those times that you want.
Okay. Yeah, we could do like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I guess,
Mhm.
twice a week for now, and then
Okay.
all right, yeah, and then you'll let me know then for next week about what times work for you.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'll let you know that like within like by the end of tonight.
All right, no rush, that's fine.
Yeah, thanks. So, okay, awesome. So, yep. I think this was yeah, 2 hours. So for you it'll just be the 150.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, I'll see you. Yeah, I'll let you know when next week. But yeah, continue what you're doing. You're on the right track and awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Have a nice
All right, you too. See ya.